Oh, Steve and Larson! Don't you dare be sour. Clap for yourselves and feel the power. Yes. And all you people out there, you're watching Going In Raw with Steve and Larson.
Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steve and Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found, and of course, taped live at the Twitch at twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. Quick programming note, given that tonight is the start of NXT 2.0, we're going to do a watch along, and plus we got Quizzlemania tomorrow. You came up with the idea, hey, why don't we do NXT tonight? I had to think about it. I was like, okay, let's go ahead and do it. We'll do a watch along, and then we'll do the recap of NXT tonight. One-time deal. Next week, we're going to go back to normal.
Yes.
So that should be a lot of fun. Real quick, also, the numbers don't lie. Our Patreon Friendo Club TV exclusive. If you want in on that action, if you want to use Going In Raw math to determine the number this week for Lita, she came out ahead this week.
In dominant fashion, no less.
I saw that early on. It was pretty dominant.
Yeah. She won handily.
And so we'll see where the Going In Raw math falls on Lita this Thursday. Voting is now open right now. If you're watching us live on Twitch, you have access to it as well. Just hop in. Nightbot has the link somewhere. And then, of course, patreon.com/Steve and Larson, which is also a great place to catch Going In Raw audio, ad-free, and with bonus content. The numbers don't lie and Power Rank are both available as bonus episodes every single week. Today on Power Rank, by the way, bonus episode, we're going to be doing some Quizzlemania prep. We're going to be going tomorrow over at Parts Fun Known at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. That should be a lot of fun. We're going to be defending our Quizzlemania Tag Championships, so that should be a lot of fun. Also, if you want to listen to Going In Raw ad-free, you can also pay $3 a month. You don't get any bonus stuff, but you do get the show ad-free, and that is at goinginraw.supercast.tech. You can do it there. And it actually helps support the show quite a bit. Plus, you get the show ad-free in the audio realm. So there you go. It's a new day, Larson. Yes, it is. As you can see above us, if you're watching us on YouTube and you're giving us that thumbs up and you're hitting that subscribe button, you can see Big E as the new WWE champion. He cashed in last night. He said he was going to do it in the morning. He talked about doing it at the head of the show. He talked about doing it during the show.
Several times.
And then after the main event, Bob Lashley versus Randy Orton, he cashed in on Lashley. He ate a spear, kicked out of that, hit big ending to win the WWE Championship. The internet went ballistic because everybody loves Big E. Been in the company now, I think, for 9 years, I want to say, around there, a decade or so.
Something like that.
And as far as I know, I don't remember if he's ever had a solo match for one of the big titles. I thought I'd heard that somewhere. And so he took
he joined, sorry to interrupt. He joined Florida Championship Wrestling in 2009. So he's actually been in the company for 12 years.
Okay, yeah.
From developmental onward. He came to the main roster in 2013.
Okay. A huge, awesome moment. We can talk about, the minutia of the actual cash-in itself, maybe where it lies amongst other cash-ins, comparatively speaking, and what we see for his title run. But for the moment, in that moment, it was a wonderful one, and congratulations to Big E.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been one of my favorites for a good number of years. Couldn't be happier for him. By all accounts, an awesome dude, an incredibly hard worker, and you like to see good people achieve success at the highest levels. So it made me super happy for him to win. And yeah, I mean, I can't. Yeah, I unfortunately I didn't get to watch it live last night while it was happening. saw the reaction on Twitter as it unfolded. Got to watch it this morning, and it was just so cool to see, and to give him the opportunity to win it and to celebrate with the New Day was awesome, man. I'm so happy that they've managed to stay a cohesive unit, be themselves, be wildly successful, and never be put in a position where, oh, you guys have to split up, you guys have to feud, because that's kind of the regular wrestling trope that we see play out all the time. And it's great to see New Day not do that. You get to see them as a unit for, gosh, how many years? 5, 6, 7 years, something like that.
A long time.
Yes, since 2014, 7 years.
Now, yeah.
As a faction, and they've always been a cohesive unit.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's great. You get the moment where they're back in the ring after Big E has won, celebrating together. Did you see the interview that he did afterwards?
Yeah, it was great.
That was the digital exclusive.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was awesome.
The emotion pouring out of all three of them.
Yeah,
it's so great.
When somebody that comes off as so genuine, and I didn't listen to this, but I read on Twitter, and then I looked it up just to confirm that was probably the thing. But apparently yesterday on the New Day's podcast, they talked about it in light of the tragic passing of Shannon Spreel. Is that how you pronounce her last name? Daphne.
Oh,
known
Daphne,
as Daphne. Evidently, Big E talked about his own battles with mental health issues. And I can't think of a better sort of backdrop for something like this to happen, where a guy who is so loved, who is obviously so lovable, so genuine, to reach this point. People have also pointed out this is the first time that an African-American has beat another African-American for the WWE title, which is also a historic moment in WWE. So that's great. There are so many positives to take away from this moment. And, you can look at the reality of the situation as well, the business aspect of this, and say, hey, point out that WWE has extra motivation now to get their Raw ratings up, specifically their demo number up against AEW, which came very close. No, actually last week, I think AEW beat them barely in the demo, if I'm not mistaken, which, is interesting from a business standpoint. And to me, nothing really else, because I'm in it for the stories. WWE needs to get their ratings up, so they do something like this. They announced it before, they had him announce it before the show. And you can look at that in a cynical light. I look at it in a business light. They should be. This is what we want, right? This is in terms of WWE stepping up, giving us big moments to celebrate, giving us the wrestlers that we want to see rewarded. We got that last night. Now, the big question, and obviously this is a big one, will they be able to carry this momentum and establish him as a Lashley-esque champion? Because Lashley obviously was seen as the man in Vince McMahon's eyes.
And we should take a moment here to salute Bobby Lashley for having a hell of a title reign himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
He waited for 15 years for a chance to be WWE champion. Finally got the opportunity and knocked it out of the park. I thought he was awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, great.
During the course of his title reign. But now it's now that Big E has won, it's now putting in the work from a creative standpoint to establish him as the guy on Raw.
Absolutely.
And whether that's a story kind of like what Drew had when he first won the title, where Drew had to learn to be champion and he'd face adversity and have setbacks and then overcome those setbacks. They could do something like that with Big E. I don't know exactly. We got Survivor Series coming up in a couple months. Are they going to do brand versus brand? Are we going to get Roman versus Big E? Because there's a lot of good material there. I mean, that was basically the entire basis of our fantasy booking warfare we did on Parts of Unknown, was the dynamic between the New Day, the Usos, and Roman. There's a lot of good stuff they could work with there. And I try to get excited about the prospect of working that all in and having that result in a Big E win over Roman. I know it's probably not going to happen, but if you want to establish Big E as the guy on Raw, even if it's overbooked finish, having Big E get a pin on Roman would be massive.
That's the one thing that I always thought was lacking. I mean, even if you if you take out of his title run the horrible way that they had Kofi lose that title to Brock Lesnar and then never really seemed to care afterwards. But I really feel like with Kofi, they needed that big Roman-esque win. So I think that with Big E, you can establish that in a couple ways. I think Roman is probably, as much as I would love to see it happen, it's sort of the least likely way. And I actually probably from my standpoint as a fan, I know that's what your preference would be. From my standpoint, it would be Bloodline versus New Day, because then you involve those two great teams, the New Day and the Usos, in the match itself. You can have Jay or Jimmy eat the pin and get that win. You still protect Roman, and you have the New Day get over. And you sort of have philosophically a Big E over Roman win while still saving Roman Reigns, because they're not going to have him. They are not going to have Roman Reigns eat a pin on a major pay-per-view or not, or episode of SmackDown or anything. They're not going to have him eat a pin.
Yeah, I know. It's not a realistic.
I love it. I think it's a great idea, and I think it's a great way to establish Big E's reign as a memorable one. To do that,
I mean, I assume we're gonna get a rematch at Extreme Rules next between Big E and Lashley. You have Big E win that. That's going to go a long way towards establishing him. But as you mentioned with the Kofi example, Kofi never really got that chance to beat someone like Brock, like Roman, on that tier. And I think Lashley is just about there. But at the same time, if you really want to establish Big E as the guy, as the face counterpart to heel Roman, it could be a wonk finish. It could be an absolutely overbooked finish, involving the New Day, the Usos. Hell, maybe get Brock out there to motivate the match even further at WrestleMania between Brock and Roman.
Hey, you don't have to convince me. You don't have to convince me. I'm just trying to keep what's somewhat realistic.
Here, let me talk to camera then. Bruce Pritchard, Vince McMahon.
It's an attraction.
It's a good idea. You could do some good stuff with this. The interpersonal dynamics between the New Day, the Usos. There's years of story there you could play on. It'll be great stuff.
Yeah, great stuff. An attraction.
We basically have a script written up for the whole thing. It's not 14 weeks of television like CM Punk did.
We want a thing. We want a thing. Oh man. Wait till y'all hear the next thing we got going. Yeah. This was killer. I'm not going to ruin it because I don't even know.
Next level stuff.
People know what it is. But the next fantasy booking warfare stuff. Oh, that's good stuff.
Let's take a quick break here to get a word from our sponsor, Amazon Music. Since all the friendos out there are listening to this show, it's safe to assume you love listening to podcasts. Well, you'll find tons of podcasts, including this one, Going In Raw, on Amazon Music.
That's right. Amazon Music has more than 10 million free podcasts to listen to, such as the hilarious Smartless, which you can get ad-free 1 week before everyone else. There's also the true crime podcast, Dr. Death Miracle Man, which is available 2 weeks early on Amazon Music.
Yeah, man, if you're like Larson and love your music, you got to check out the thousands of free music stations and playlists on Amazon Music. Or if you like your tunes on demand and ad-free, then you got to give Amazon Music Unlimited a try. It gives you unlimited access to a lot of songs, like 75 million songs, as well as podcasts, music videos, and so much more.
And with Amazon Music Unlimited, you can listen to any song anywhere, driving to work, walking your dog, doing wind sprints, anywhere, offline and with unlimited skips.
Or listen to podcasts like Going In Raw while working out at the gym or at home like I do. If you've never tried Amazon Music Unlimited, now's a great time. For a limited time, new customers can try Amazon Music Unlimited free for 3 months. No credit card required. Just go to amazon.com/GIR.
That's amazon.com/GIR to try Amazon Music Unlimited free for 3 months. Amazon.com/GIR. Renews automatically. Cancel anytime. Terms apply.
Before we get back to the show, let's get a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. Several years ago, while dealing with severe anxiety, I learned the importance of talking to a therapist, but also discovered that it can be extremely difficult to find the right person to talk to. Today, BetterHelp is providing a safe and private online environment where your needs will be assessed and you'll be matched with your own licensed personal therapist.
BetterHelp isn't a crisis line, nor is it self-help. It's professional counseling done securely online, all without having to ever sit in another uncomfortable waiting room.
BetterHelp is dedicated to facilitating great therapeutic matches. Send your counselor messages at any time or schedule regular phone or video sessions. And they've made it free and easy to change therapists if needed.
And you don't have to limit yourself to counselors in your area. BetterHelp services are available worldwide, so you can find the expertise you need regardless of location.
We want you to start living a happier life today. As a Going In Raw listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/raw. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health.
Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/raw. So yeah, I it'll be interesting. I think there's a couple names they can use to establish Big E to give him a definitive title run. Number one, big men slap and meet. Give him the Goldberg match. I know neither of us ever want to see Goldberg fight, but there is the Goldberg rub. That is a thing, and I think that perception of he could beat Goldberg, which at 50 whatever years old he should easily, But
I know that, the bummer thing is that Goldberg's probably going to beat Lashley at Crown Royal next month.
Maybe. God.
Now that Lashley's dropped the belt, which we talked about yesterday, it was like, okay, if they really want to get this Goldberg Lashley rematch without the title involved, well, Lashley's probably have to drop the belt sometimes. Mm-hmm. But then if Goldberg gets that win and then Big E beats Lashley at Extreme Rules, then when Big E faces Goldberg at the Rumble or something, then Goldberg's just off beating Lashley.
Hey, you know what? There's still a couple weeks before the draft. What if draft day, Drew gets drafted to SmackDown, but before he does, he steps and say, "Hey, Big E, I have an opportunity here to wrestle for that."
Now that Lashley's not champion, I can wrestle for that again.
He can. It's an opening, and it's a huge. I mean, okay, so before Drew gets drafted, I should say, he steps up to Big E, says, "Hey, big man, I can fight for that now. Give me this opportunity because I might not get it again because I could get drafted to SmackDown, but this would stop that. Let me get a shot. Give me a shot." Mm-hmm. You let Big E, you get Big E a clean win over Drew. Right after the match, they announced Drew's been drafted to SmackDown, which is a clean slate for him, a huge win for Big E. You further establish him. Prior at Extreme Rules, he has a clean win over Lashley. Those are two big names that I think gets his title reign off to a really hot start. It's a good. That's a couple. Randy Orton's on Raw.
Yeah, I was going to mention Randy Orton.
That's a big name.
Put Orton in, against him. Sheamus too.
Sheamus is a. I mean, that'll be a good match. I mean, Sheamus lays down for pretty much everybody, but he always
he
always comes off as strong. I agree.
Yeah, he's a formidable opponent. He's no one to scoff at.
Yeah.
And in terms of a physical matchup for Big E, it's a good one. Sheamus will push Big E to his limits because Sheamus works stiff.
Big E won.
He puts on physical matches.
They had they did like a Falls Count Anywhere match on SmackDown.
On SmackDown, yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, and that was really kind of the match that established Big E. Oh, he could do serious and violent. Mm-hmm. And so they can reference that also. And then with the draft, you can send over any number of people. Kind of. I mean, if you want, you can rekindle before he's out the door. Kevin Owens. When is his I forget. When is his contract?
End of January.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a couple people here in chat, Prime Jory Bearding mentioned this as well. Keith Lee. That's an idea. So there's any number of ways you can go. I think that they need to be.
WD, don't do this. Don't bring Dolph Ziggler to Raw to feud with Big E. I understand there's history there. Whenever they do the feud with Dolph,
dude.
There is a history.
Hey.
There is a history. It's just not that compelling of a feud.
You know what, man? If anybody, if done right, but the thing is, they never do. You gotta
exactly.
You gotta creative proof it sometimes, don't you?
Yes.
And Dolph is not creative proof. No, I feel you on that one. Yeah, no,
I'm excited. Also, Dolph is kind of the gatekeeper.
They need to be really careful, though. They need to be really careful because you see just how big this. I mean, last night that crowd was chanting Randy, 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 but they exploded when Big E won. And when he kicked out of that spear, they exploded. And when he won, they went nuts. And so you need to be careful with. I mean, I know with Vince and Bruce, it's always, well, where are we now? Let's see, what do we do now? You know, all of a sudden, if they want to sign Cain Velasquez again, then they might do a thing where they screw over Big E, which would suck, and people are going to crap on it, and they'll start, I'm going to cancel my Peacock. You don't want that situation. People love Big E. You got to be careful with this. Treat him like he's a powerhouse. A powerhouse.
A couple people here in chat
the people
are mentioning
you.
Amos.
Yeah, do Amos.
Big E is the
first
the
guy
person who gives Amos his first loss.
Do it. Absolutely. They've been building that dude big time.
I know.
Man.
He gets the hot tag in those matches. The crowd pops.
The crowd pops. Yeah. And man, you saw how exciting it was when Lashley and him had that stand at that face off. Oh man.
I mean, like the New Day and Amos and AJ are still kind of feuding to a degree. I mean, they just had that sure. 8-man tag match last night, so it's a possibility. Yeah. And you give Amos that kind of setback early on, come back around to it, in a year or two, when he's got some more experience in the ring, and if you want to push him to the main event level, well, now he has the experience. You have a storyline to work with there. It could work out.
If I'm not mistaken, so it's around 1 o'clock on the West Coast. We should be getting the ratings, I think, at some point soon, unless there's some weird delay. So we'll keep an eye out for those. Let's go ahead and dive into it because we'll get into the meat of Raw. There's all sorts of stuff I guess we can talk about. So I'm anxious to talk about because you had me cracking up in the pre-show talking about that Kross promo. That's always we'll get there when we get there. So Raw kicked off with Big E. He comes out first. Orton, Lashley follow him. Lashley and Orton have a bit of a face-off. Before anybody really says anything, Big E says, just so there's no confusion here, I fully intend on cashing in my Money in the Bank contract tonight. He's sort of the odd man out because these guys are facing each other, and he's sort of hovering. And as Lashley holds up his title, he's holding up his briefcase saying, hey, I'm right here. Riddle says, hey, man, just be cool. Don't cash in on Randy. He's my best friend. MVP says, hey, jackass, stop talking. He says Big E's not going to be cashing in on Randy tonight because Randy won't be winning the WWE title tonight. MVP says, you chose the wrong night, Big E. Usually when you show up, I get a kick out of it because you shake your butt and act like an idiot with your idiot friends. But we're not in a laughing mood tonight because we were supposed to be challenging for the tag titles tonight. But Randy, being Randy, politicked his way backstage into getting a WWE title shot tonight.
And then Norton says, it's been 14 years since Lashley and I wrestled, so why wait 2 more weeks? Says, I knew I couldn't throw Lashley off his game unless I changed the date in the match. He said, there's no politicking involved. I went to who I had to talk to and asked for the change, and they did it because I'm Randy Orton.
Oh, here's our Raw ratings update.
Oh,
1.67 million. Ooh.
It's down a little bit.
Uh-oh. That doesn't. Next week, another title change. Let's give it time. Give it time.
I know.
Give it time.
I know. So Big E says, we got meaty men bumping meat tonight. And the crowd starts chanting for Orton. And the MVP asks the crowd, have you forgot about Big E? And he says, I want to tell you that the clowns that you hang out with in the New Day, that of the clowns that you hang out with in the New Day, MVP says, always thought you were the first to be champion because MVP thought Big E had the most potential. And when he went to SmackDown, it was his opportunity to level up. And then he won Money in the Bank. But then he ran from SmackDown to Raw because, I don't know, maybe you're scared of Roman or Brock. Maybe you think Lashley is a pushover. But after Big E sees what Lashley does to Orton tonight, he'll be scared of Lashley too. And then Orton tells MVP he's wasting his breath. The fight is here, and he's proven that all it takes is one RKO to bring Lashley to his knees. And that's what's going to happen when he wins, becomes new WWE champion.
And then Big E laughs and says, then I can cash in on you and become new champion. And Lashley says, no, enough. I'm going to take pleasure in beating you all over this ring, Randy. And Big E, if you come close to me with that contract, I'm going to shove it so far up your ass you'll be able to read the fine print. So Big E and Lashley start John. Big E's like putting his contract in his face, and then Orton gets tired of that, and he comes out of nowhere with an RKO on Bobby Lashley. And that ends that segment. All right, let's take a quick break here to get a word in from our sponsor, Raycon. So there's a lot going on in the world these days, Larson, whether it's stuff I'm hyped for, like me going to LA this weekend for GCW, or stuff I'd rather not think about, like fans crowing over what's better, WWE or AEW. Why can't they just like both? You know, Larson, you can't always control the vibes out there, but you can control the vibes in your head with a pair of Raycon wireless earbuds in your ears.
Yeah, whether I'm working or working out, pumping iron in my garage, or pumping gas before a road trip, my Raycons have been my go-to earbuds for on-the-go music and podcasts, and the new everyday earbuds look, feel, and sound better than ever.
They've got an improved look and feel and include optimized gel tips for the perfect in-ear fit. Plus, you get to choose between 3 new sound profiles to make sure that whatever you're listening to sounds its absolute best. You got pure mode for podcasts and instrumental music, balanced mode for rock, and bass mode for hip-hop and EDM.
And Raycons offer 8 hours of playtime, 32 hours of battery life, and a built-in mic so you can take calls on your earbuds with a touch of a button, while starting at half the price of other premium audio brands and sounding just as good. Raycons even come with a 45-day happiness guarantee.
Right now, Going In Raw listeners can get 15% off their Raycon order at buyraycon.com/raw. That's buyraycon.com/raw to save 15% on Raycons. buyraycon.com/raw.
Before we get back to today's show, let's get a word from our sponsor, DoorDash. You know, Steve, I found myself ordering DoorDash a lot recently, like more than twice a month. Sometimes it felt like I was paying just as much in delivery fees as I was for the actual meals. But then I signed up for Dash Pass, and now I'm saving money on the food I'm already eating.
I was once there with you, friendo, but now that I got Dash Pass, I get unlimited $0 delivery fees from thousands of restaurants, grocery stores, and convenience stores, saving me about $4 to $5 on each order I place. Dash Pass pretty much pays for itself if I order like twice a month.
And with 18,000 restaurants eligible for Dash Pass, maybe we'll even find a new favorite place to eat. But Dash Pass is about more than good eats. You can get flowers, pet supplies, even groceries delivered to your door. So try a free month of Dash Pass now and watch those savings add up.
So if you're ready to save money on your DoorDash orders, DoorDash is offering a free month for Dash Pass right now. Stop spending money on delivery fees. Try Dash Pass from DoorDash today for free.
When you've got 0 delivery fees, you're free to get more because you can. Start your free month today.
After that, we have a Charlotte interview. And she's talking about Shayna Baszler, her opponent for tonight. She says Shayna's being dragged down by the dead weight of Nia Jax. She said, I'm going to teach her a lesson in humility. This championship is mine. The ring is my throne. This reign will last forever. Long live the queen.
Yeah, and then we have that match next, Charlotte versus Shayna Baszler. Before the match begins, though, we have a backstage bit between Shayna and Nia. Shayna walks up to Nia. Nia wants an explanation why Shayna, in Nia's words, cost her the Raw Women's title. Shayna said last week, I did you what you've done to me. I know you can't beat Charlotte, but I know I can. And Nia starts to protest, saying, oh, well, I did beat her. And she says, let's just get on the same page. And Shayna just walks off. Yeah. So you see where this is going. Mm-hmm. It's a fun match, some good back and forth. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, though, about halfway through, Nia comes down to ringside, and Charlotte starts crotch chopping.
That is my favorite thing because it feels so genuine. She at the very side of Nia Jax starts doing this.
Crotch chopping.
It's great.
But that distraction allows Shayna to push Charlotte to the ring steps. So Shayna has the upper hand. I think she just hit Charlotte with a jumping knee. Nia gets on the apron. That allows Charlotte to hit a boot on Shayna to get the win. As soon as the match ends, Alexa Bliss comes down to the ring. She's got a gift in her hand.
Yeah.
And she tells Charlotte that she's busy being a queen and everything, but her and Lily wanted to give her a gift for giving her a match at Extreme Rules. And Charlotte tells Bliss that you don't know my taste. I don't collect dolls. I collect these titles. And there comes a time in every big girl's life where they leave the dolls at home. And Bliss says, we know you're the champ, but come on. Have some fun. And Lily is right. Everyone loves a good gift, so take it. Charlotte says no. Bliss says yes. Charlotte says, yeah, no.
Yeah,
Bliss says,
it's just too much. Yeah. So anyways,
it's a lot. So anyways,
it's
eventually Bliss gives her the gift. Charlotte opens it up. It's a doll that looks like Charlotte. It's Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie. Charlotte gets back on the mic. Says Charlotte makes fun of the doll, calls Alexa crazy, says she's going to adult her at Extreme Rules, throws it at her. Alexa attacks, sends Charlotte out of the ring. Charlotte comes back in. Alexa hits a really cool looking code red and holds up the title. That segment was way too long, though. All that
it was
stuff
the line
irritating.
from. I thought Alexa did a pretty good job with her delivery, and the narcissistic bitch line got a pretty good pop from the crowd.
Yeah, and Charlotte really knows how to play to the crowd. Her with the gift and all that kind of stuff is really good stuff. But like the whole yes stuff is just I can't stand that kind of stuff. Just get to the point is my point. After that we had
they got 3 hours. They got 3 hours to fill. So
it's a good point.
They usually take the scenic route.
A match that did not take the scenic route: Drew McIntyre and the War Raiders, Viking Raiders, versus Jinder Mahal and company. Jinder and his dudes attack Drew before the bell. Viking Raiders come down to make the save, and then the match happens. But Drew basically wins this on his own with a Claymore to Shanky.
Not basically. Commentary says Drew won this on his own.
He did.
Ivar
actually,
didn't even get in the match.
Didn't even get in the match. You're right. He actually did win the match by himself.
You win it basically because Ray Rowe was in there and just got isolated pretty much the entire time he was in there.
Yeah.
After that, we're backstage. We get a New Day reunion. Woods tells Big missed him. Says, now that you're planning on cashing in, I want to tell you you deserve it. E says, tonight is the night. And it's in Kofi's hometown, no less. He says, Kofi, you've been there. You got any advice for me? And Kofi says, advice? I've always told you, you got what it takes to be the face of WWE and a great champion. You don't need my advice. No. And then Woods says, hey, you look a little tense there. Let's get rid of that tension. And they start singing, hey, we want some New Day.
After that, we had a Damian Priest promo. Says,
you don't want to talk about the Reggie segment?
I mean, that's a question. I didn't write it down, but I guess we could. Yeah. So he just.
So pretty much the 24/7 division were chasing him backstage, and he was jumping off stuff to escape.
And apparently, Drake Maverick is the one. You're right. I forgot to write that down. Drake Maverick is sort of the mastermind now of like how to approach getting the title off Reggie. But I could care less about it. I'm so over this stuff. Like a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh, wow, this is cool. Look, he's bouncing on trampolines and stuff. It's just the same thing over and over again.
It is the same thing, and that's the thing. It's not that by itself. It's lame. It's cool, but they don't take it anywhere.
Yeah. We had Damian Priest versus Jeff Hardy. There was a promo from Priest saying he's wanted to fight somebody he's admired for years. He comes across as so genuine now. Mm-hmm. You know, ever since they had him started to use his real voice, he just comes across as himself. And I think that like just a couple more reps, he'll just be really, a bit more smooth on the mic.
But I'll say this. Because he comes off as so genuine, I don't mind the stumbles.
Kind of like Kevin Owens. Yeah. Like Kevin, he'll sometimes stumble, but it's fine because it just comes across as genuine.
You know who's someone that's really good at like intentional stumbles is Adam Cole. Every sentence he begins with a little stumble.
That is at this point, I just expect it because it's so deliberate. It's him trying to come across as urgent, and it works really well.
And natural.
Yeah. It works really well. This is a fun match. Sheamus came down for commentary. Priest ended up getting the win with a reckoning. Right afterwards, Sheamus attacks. Priest hits a brogue kick on Sheamus. I expect Sheamus to get the upper hand next week because the go-home math is going to work in Priest's favor because he's totally going to retain at Extreme Rules.
Oh, yeah. Actually, there's 12 days, so I think there's 2 Raws between now and then.
Oh, are there? When is it? The
26th?
26th? So there's the one on the 21st? I mean, 20th? Yeah, 20th. No, I think it's the one on the 20th.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. So after that, we had Nikki ASH and Rhea, Ripley backstage. So Nikki says after our win last week, hey, we should come to the celebration. And Rhea's like, no, we should focus on our match tonight and then focus on the tag titles. Natalya and Tamina step in. They start talking some trash. Eventually, Nikki says, well, I'm going to show you what I'm capable of. And Tamina says, oh, I was almost scared. And then Nikki pushes her. Brawl breaks out. It gets broken up. And then Sonya makes a match between Nikki and Tamina.
Tamina never talks like a real human being would talk. And I wonder if it's just like the fact that like lines are not her thing. I wonder if maybe she just sort of said, like, just breathe and talk and tell us what's on your mind. Because it's always just like, I always just laugh when she gets on the mic because it's so goofy. But I imagine she can probably talk like a normal person if they just let her. Anyways, they did a thing about Gable Steveson and his signing announcement. Yeah, you had mentioned yesterday on the show that, because I read up on it a little bit. Yeah, they're totally just giving him his own facility to train him while he goes after like the wrestling national championship. Yeah.
So he's got one more year of eligibility at the University of Minnesota.
Yeah, according to Meltzer, they got all sorts of plans for him. Like he's going to come in and beat Brock and all this kind of stuff and be a Heyman guy. I'm like, boy, that's ambitious. But it'll be interesting to track his progress.
Yeah, that's true.
After that, we've got Randy Orton and Riddle in the locker room. Riddle is talking at Randy, who's not saying anything. Randy eventually puts his headphones on. Big E comes in, says, I'm going to be watching very closely during your match tonight. And then Randy puts his headphones back on, and Riddle just keeps on talking. We got Nikki versus Tamina after that. Talk to me about this finish. What happened with that? Because Nikki hit a tornado DDT from the top.
Yeah. Yes.
And the ref counts 1, 2, and 3, but clearly Tamina kicks out at 2.8.
Yeah, that was confusing too. I was unsure of why that happened, because usually that's not Nikki's finisher. Usually it's like a crossbody off the top or some sort of roll up type situation. You know?
Yeah, I don't know if the ref was like counting this as a shoot and thought that this was supposed to be the finish. But like, boy, they really went into, oh no, it was totally, that was 3. Yeah, no, she got it. She did it.
So they did, like, they made a real point of that spot where Tamina punched Nikki in the jaw, and Nikki was really selling jaw,
Yeah.
And then so she hits the tornado DDT, gets the win, and then during the commercial break, they say that Nikki was helped to the back by the trainers. I don't know if that was because of a legit injury for the story. I don't know. She come back out for the end of the Rhea Ripley Natalya match.
Well, Tamina attacked her after the match, so I assume that because of that, it was supposed to be like a surprise thing, but it was just the match finish was just sort of weird. I think
it was kind of weird.
I don't know what was up with that. Anyways, after that they had Natalya versus Rhea. That was the original scheduled match before they sort of shoehorned this other match in here. Natalya's doing a lot of showboating in this match. Like seemingly, I don't know if they were trying to stretch for time because maybe the other match ran short, but there was a lot of just her walking around doing this.
Yeah.
And she was dominating. She's a heel now. She's a bad guy now. So she was dominating a lot of this. Rhea would come back and hit some offense. Like they went to commercial. Rhea came back and she was just hitting Rainmaker after Rainmaker. Natty takes back over. Rhea regains control after that. Tamina gets on the apron. That distracts everybody. Natalya is going to try to take advantage of that. She comes off the ropes, but Nikki had come running down, trips up Natalya as she tries to come off the ropes. Rhea then drop kicks Tamina from inside the ring. Tamina's on the outside. She falls over. Natalya rolls up Rhea and puts her feet on the ropes to try to get that cheating win, but Nikki pushes those feet off the ropes. Rhea gets the reverse cloverleaf, and Natalya ends up tapping after a bit of a prolonged effort to get out.
Both Nikyle and EV here in chat say that the ring announcer said that Tamina won. I don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
I remember hearing that.
I don't remember that aspect of it. She clearly had her shoulders down.
Yeah. Maggie said he did.
Oh, really?
That's interesting. They announced Tamina as the winner. Wow.
That adds an extra layer of what the fuck.
You got that right. I wasn't doubting the accuracy of the statement. I just didn't hear it when it happened.
Yeah, same. Neither. I mean, I'll put it this way: the entire thing was so confusing that I wouldn't be. I'm not shocked that I missed that.
Same.
And then they played her music.
Sometimes I'm here taking notes.
Well, the finish was so weird that I didn't like the entire thing was just weird.
That is weird. Yeah, Trona said they said Tamina won and played her music. It made no sense.
I was listening. Yeah, Maggie mentions commentary. I was listening to commentary, and I thought that they were saying, Tamina totally kicked out. Nikki pinned Tamina.
Yeah. Ricky says, I love that Maggie saying it was the one that confirmed it to you. No, I didn't mean to make it sound like I didn't believe anybody else saying it. I was saying it as if I didn't remember it happening, not doubting the accuracy of anybody else's information.
Good thing we got the friendos here, man.
I know. Sometimes these little details.
It was so confusing.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm trying to remember if I watched this. I watched it last night, so I was already tired.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like I said, I'm here taking notes, and I'm just like, okay, this is confusing. I'm taking notes about what happened, and some of the minutia gets lost.
Yeah, it was all weird, man. It was all weird.
It is all weird.
Anyways, enough of that stuff. Backstage interview with Charlotte. She says, yeah, the only gift I'm going to give Alexa at Extreme Rules is a beatdown, and the puppet belongs in the trash. But the puppet was just like sitting there, and then she takes it, puts it in the trash. Yeah. We got Ali Mansour, the New Day, versus Amos, AJ, Mace, and T-Bar. We had a Mace and T-Bar promo in advance of this. They make a bunch more animal metaphors. They love their animal metaphors. Mansour loves the New Day, was dancing along with them. Ali, not so much. This was a wildly fun match, though, because every single one of these guys is a really great wrestler, except for Amos, and Amos is an attraction, and he's a lot of fun, too.
He is. So early on, Ali wants to get tagged in, but no one wants to tag him in, so he just tags himself in.
Yeah.
As soon as he does that, get in the ring, heel team takes control. And then Mason T-Bar lay out Ali and Mansour ringside. Raw rolls on through the commercial. Eventually, Mansour hits Dijak with a kick, looking for a tag. AJ comes in. Mansour hits him with a couple of enziguris. Woods is in. Kofi comes in. New Day goes on a run. Eventually, that leads to Mansour and Ali hitting Mason T-Bar with suicide dives out to the floor. Kofi goes for Trouble in Paradise. AJ reverses that to Ushigoroshi. Ali breaks up that pin. Eventually, Amos gets tagged in. He destroys Ali. Yes. He destroys Ali. Mansour tries to make the save. New Day join in. Like, they're holding on to his legs. Amos just fends them all off. Sends them all out of the ring.
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. And then he hits
Ali with his finish for the win. Yeah.
Mace has a beautiful boss man slam. It looks like so much fun.
He gets several rotations on it too.
He does, yeah. It's great.
It looks great.
Yeah. No, Amos, yeah, dude, they're doing a pretty good job bringing up Amos, I feel. After that, we had a recap for Dewdrop versus Eva Marie because that match was up next. This does not last long at all.
Well, there was a Lashley MVP interview in here too. There were MVPs asked, is Big E going to be a distraction tonight? MVP says no, he's not a distraction, more of an annoyance. Lashley's focused on retaining the title at all costs. He says if Lashley has a long list of people who stepped up to him and lost. If Big E wants to add his name to that list, it'd be the worst decision he ever made. Big E steps in and starts going, boo, boo.
That's right, yeah.
Boo. I just want to tell you I'm going to cash in tonight.
Big E's a distraction. After that, we had Dewdrop versus Eva Marie. Don't laugh at that. Versus Eva Marie. This does not last long. Dewdrop dominates Eva Marie. Eva Marie still might need some more time at the Performance Center, man. I'll be honest with you. It's just not. It's not really there, but whatever.
All right, let's talk about this Karrion Kross promo.
Yes, let's please do that. So he's backstage.
Mood music sets the mood.
It's like sort of orchestral. It's like a string quartet or something.
It wouldn't be out of place in a soap opera.
I was gonna say like a scene out of Hannibal, but I love that you just brought it down to dollar store basement level. That's great.
Well, I mean, like not like a romantic scene, obviously, but like a more tense scene.
Yeah, right.
Not one that's like thrilling where they have the organ going, like at the old school soap operas, but like a more of a tense, drama filled scene.
I've never watched Hannibal, but I hear it's really good. And then it was like canceled too soon, but it was apparently shockingly gory for NBC. Like it was on NBC, but apparently it's really gory. Anyways, so it's shot on like their regular camera. It was like that weird Carmella thing they did a couple weeks ago on SmackDown.
Gosh, that was so weird.
It's shot with their regular camera, so it just looks cheap, right? This is meant to be for like, impromptu backstage stuff. And instead they've got this dramatic Karrion Kross promo with like and he's got like road cases near him. So it's not even like a dramatic setting. It's like, hey, let's go back where we stashed the road cases. So he says, deep down, many people don't really know who they really are. They have an idea, but they only find out their true nature when they're suffering or inflicting the suffering. And then he sort of looks around like a dullard searching for his lines. And then he finds them. But now the suffering has become insatiable. You want to know my desires, my motivations? By the way, I'm paraphrasing this. What if I don't even know the answers to those questions? What if this is all I know? And they're undercutting with a bunch of shots of him like wrecking people.
Yeah, destroying people.
There is one certainty. I will hurt every person in this place until there is no one left, and I will get everything I want, because I am not here to get lost in the shuffle, because I will make everyone around me suffer until I make them all fall and pray.
He spent like 2 minutes virtually saying nothing at all.
It's just, and he's like looking for his lines.
It's just words. It's just words.
It's just word vomit.
It's just words to lead to his catchphrase. That's all it is.
It is like 2 minutes just leading up to his catchphrase. They had a cheap looking suit on, and he just looks like the cheesiest guy. Look at this bucket that I put on my head.
That would be more interesting.
Yeah, if he described, here, this is why I put this bucket on my head. I think he'd had like a tweet about wearing masks, and I was like,
he did.
it felt, honestly, it felt more like an anti-mask tweet. Oh, not saying that he is.
Oh my goodness.
Not saying that he is. Not saying that he's not. But yeah, cheesy bastard. So where does he go from here, man? What does this mean? What does all this mean? They just didn't have anything like I
He didn't say anything. How am I supposed to know what it means, Steve?
thought he was gonna have it. You know what they're gonna do next week? He's gonna be a rematch with Morrison.
Probably.
Because they have no idea. They don't know what is he gonna go after.
No.
He's gonna wait for the
They have
draft
no
and then
idea.
figure it out.
Oh, maybe they'll send him to SmackDown. Like maybe they could do something with him over there. They seem to have better creative on SmackDown. You know, they'll feed him the Roman or something. I don't know. I mean, know. This is just another generic promo. Hey, I'm gonna destroy everybody, leading to catchphrase. That's all it is.
You know how Kross works the best? He works the best in highly produced video promos because he does have a good voice. He can deliver promos well when evidently he is produced, which means they film him in a bunch of different shots with a really cool background with 24 frames, and you can cut the awkward pauses out because this was 2 minutes and he was trying to look for his lines and it was less than effective. You can actually say, like, Bray Wyatt made an entire career out of saying a lot without actually saying anything. And it was all kind of compelling. I mean, at a certain point, it got old because it was like, oh, it's one of those where, like, he's not really saying anything. But, like, with Kross, he needs to be produced up because this was just silly and funny and not in a way that was intentional.
Well, here's the thing, too, is that they were cutting B-roll into his promo.
They could have cut.
This was a pre-shoot.
Yeah.
They could have cut around some of those pauses.
They could have
they didn't
up the contrast and made it a bit more
done something
stylistic.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get my Challenger now. I'm gonna get my 2017 Challenger.
I'm gonna get my CarMax vehicle I bought from CarMax when I signed.
God, I wish that thing still had the CarMax. So you know how hard those things are to get off the car.
My pick for tonight might have changed. Fightful Select says Peter Dune has re-signed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Back on the Pete Dunne train.
Okay, so now you're saying Pete Dunne.
Yes.
Now it's not
the
Kyle
only reason
O'Reilly.
I didn't say Pete Dunne is because I didn't know his contract deal. His contract is a thing now. He's staying. Put that belt on Peter Dune.
That's cool. Good for him. Good for him. I mean, maybe he's got some, reason to believe that they're going to do something with him. I love Pete Dunne. I think he's great.
He's amazing.
I'm staying with the Ciampa pick. I still think it's Ciampa.
I don't feel like Ciampa's 2.0 though.
He's not, but I'm telling you, they're going to put it on a guy who's not 2.0 in order to put it on a guy that is 2.0.
What's the point? Just put on the guy who's 2.0 now.
Because none of the guys there are 2.0, man. Dunne's not 2.0, man. Dunne's not 2.0.
He's not, but he's the closest to that in that match that embodies 2.0.
Now, I will say this. Dunne pick isn't a bad pick because it could enable him to pass the title off to a guy who is 2.0, Ridge Holland. And then they can do Ridge Holland versus Gunnar Harland. I was so proud about my tweet the other day.
Holland versus Harland.
I was baking in that sun at that football game I had to go to watch my kid cheer. And I was baking. I did, for as much as I like tank tops, Larson, I didn't wear a tank top that day because I was trying to be presentable. And so I wore my Muscle Party shirt.
Okay. Well, there you go.
And I was baking, and I was thinking about it, and I got the notification that the Parker Boudreaux is now going to be Gunnar Harland. And I'm thinking to myself in Wade Barrett's accent, oh, we've got an exciting matchup today. Holland versus Holland. Who's got the upper hand? Holland. Who? Holland.
Yeah.
Which guy is that? It's the same person. His British accent will literally be the same. Why would they name a guy Harland when there's already a Holland there?
Doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense. I thought you were supposed to change the name. Make it different.
I mean, like Parker Boudreaux is like an interesting name.
Sounds like that sounds more like a Scarlet Boudreaux. That sounds like a sexy woman.
It's Bordeaux, a Scarlet Bordeaux.
Boudreaux, Bordeaux. Yeah, same thing. It sounds like a sexy
And they don't
woman.
call it, they just call her Scarlet in it.
Because Parker could be either a man or a woman. I mean, any name could be for any gender. I'm just saying, typically speaking, Parker can be for either one. Parker Posey.
Yeah.
Peter Parker.
Parker
What's
Lewis
the last
can't
name?
lose.
Parker Lewis. I love that show, season 1.
I think I've never seen it. Next, we had our main event: Randall Keith Orton challenging Bobby Lashley for WWE title. This match was a lot of fun.
This match was a blast. This match was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Early on, Riddle distracts Lashley, and that allows Orton to get the upper hand for a little bit, and then Lashley mounts a comeback. But that's only until Orton sidesteps. Lashley gets posted. Orton's going for a draping DDT. Instead, Lashley backdrops him out of the ring. Orton's selling leg, even though that didn't really come into play later. Lashley goes after him, hits the belly to back on top of the barricade, and then Orton hits the belly to back on Lashley on the barricade, follows with the clothesline into the timekeeper area. Go to commercial, we come back. Orton hits the superplex. They both roll out to the floor. Lashley does the thing where he puts him up on his shoulders, rams Orton into the ring post. He follows with a neck breaker in the ring that gets him a 2 count. Goes for a spine buster. Orton escapes that. Hits a bunch of clotheslines and quarter punches. Orton hits a power slam. That gets a 2 count. He hits the draping DDT. He's setting up for the RKO. Lashley escapes, hits the spear. Orton kicks out, though.
Yeah.
So Lashley's looking for the hurt lock. Orton's blocking. I like how they did this, where Orton's trying to push one hand off, and that allows Lashley to sink the other hand in. And so Orton tries to get that hand off, and Lashley gets to sink the other hand in. I thought that was pretty well done. Ultimately, Orton elbows out, hits an RKO. Lashley rolls near the ropes. The MVP pulls him, so he's under the ropes, kind of on the apron a little bit. So Riddle gets an MVP's face. Orton comes out, hits MVP with an RKO. Orton gets back in the ring. Lashley hits him with the spear for the win. So the Riddle gets in the ring to check on Orton. Lashley goes after him. Riddle gets rammed to the ring post. Lashley turns to Orton, puts him through the table with a spine buster. But when he does that, he starts selling knee.
It looked legit too. He did a really good job selling that. Yeah.
He did. So he gets back in the ring, and Big E's music hits. And he's cashing in. Lashley's like, no, I'm hurt. He even throws up the X. Did you see that?
Oh, I didn't see that. That's
right before
good.
Commercial. You see Lashley in the corner. He's like, no. He just does this.
I knew that he was selling it hardcore. I didn't notice the X. Mm-hmm. That's great. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even notice that they hit Tamina's music when she evidently won. So, I mean, I'm not the most observant.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either, but I did notice the X.
But that's great. That's awesome.
It was pretty awesome. So we go to commercial. We come back. We get the cash in. We get Bobby Lashley versus Big E. So Big E is still like, I'm not doing it. I got a bum knee. I'm not doing it. So Big E slaps him across the face. Bell rings. Lashley with the double leg tank.
Well, he slaps him. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but it was just a great moment because Lashley's like, no, I'm not doing because my knee. And then Big E comes up to him, slaps him. Lashley, and the TV didn't quite get this, but Lashley stares at the ref and says, ring the bell.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
And his demeanor, because I watched it twice, his demeanor changes. He's not selling it anymore. It was a ploy to lure Big E in, and now I got you. And the match is on, but you have pretty much a powered up Bobby Lashley where you didn't think that was the case before.
Yeah, so he hits a double leg takedown on Big E, hits some ground and pound, clothesline. Big E responds with a chop block. He's looking for a big ending. Lashley escapes that, hits the spear.
Oh, did he drop the F-bomb? Did he say ring the fucking bell? Oh wow, I didn't notice that. Oh, that's great. God damn it,
great.
That's great.
Lashley's so good. So Big E kicks out of the spear. Lashley goes for a dominator. Big E escapes that, hits the big ending for the win, and it was amazing.
Yeah,
you got goosebumps.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Kofi and Xavier Woods run down to the ring, celebrate with Big E, and it's awesome. The outpouring of support and love for Big E from his peers, from fans, has been absolutely incredible. It's been so cool to see.
Bruza here in chat mentions that was a callback to when Apollo slapped E for the IC title. That's right. Mm-hmm. See, I love that. I love when wrestlers bring that into it. It's so great.
Yep.
Oh, that's interesting. Jeffrey said, not sure if this was on TV, but Lashley was being helped to the back, and Sonya Deville came out and told Lashley he had to compete.
Wow.
Show that on TV. That's great.
Yeah, that was a really weird
commercial break. Yeah, I know.
Because that's part of the advantage you have cashing in is you cash in, you get your chance right there. Mm-hmm. And to say, no, sorry, you got to wait 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Kind of, that you take some of the advantage away of cashing in. Maybe that was an idea they had, though, just to make the cash in look a bit less opportunistic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, you get the crowd. You get the crowd way more into it. Also,
mm-hmm.
that live crowd was into this moment, and that anticipation was building. I like that. I think that's a good one. Yeah, that was really good stuff. White Brownie says, should championship contender matches just be open title challenges? Okay, so wait a second. Was Jeff Hardy versus Priest? Was that a championship contender match?
No, that was actually an open challenge for the title. The Charlotte Shayna Baszler match was a championship.
Oh, okay, and they had the graphic for that. See, okay, here's the thing. I don't necessarily mind championship contender matches if a win puts you in contender. I don't mind doing the thing. Larson, yeah, go ahead.
I actually do mind that to a degree, especially when a title match is already booked to pay-per-view. Whoever's challenging is probably not going to win.
That's a solid point.
Sort of like when Damian Priest has his open challenge for the U.S. title. I'm like, they're going to have Priest versus Sheamus. So unless Sheamus answers the open challenge and wins, there's really no point in having it because there's no drama in the match.
If there's not currently a contender, are you cool with championship contender matches?
Sometimes, not every week.
My main point with championship contender matches was it looked like just an obsessive Vince thing where it was just every single week. And we had, in the case of Shotzi and Tegan, we had several of them, which was just mind-blowing. That was just so bizarre.
Honestly, I would much rather be a situation where two people have a contender match and whoever wins that faces the champion.
I totally agree.
Rather than have the champion in a match against somebody, the champion loses and then the person who beats them. Unless it's a tag match situation where you have a champion and is tagging with somebody else against another tag team, whoever pins the champion in a tag match situation, then goes on the challenge. I can get behind that because dynamics are a bit different in a tag match.
For sure.
But in terms of a one-on-one championship contender match, by and large, not really into the idea, especially with the frequency WWE is doing them.
Here at the top of the Raw QA thread on Patreon, I forgot I had face-app Damian Priest, bald in a mustache and a sort of fat face, and he's terrifying. It's so like lifelike. Anyways, let's answer some questions.
Sure.
Let's see here. Eddie Brock's Venom, out of the WWE guys in AEW like Bryan, Jericho, Mox, Christian, Dustin, Big Show, who do you think would go into the Hall of Fame?
Jericho, 1,000%. Jericho's going in the Hall of Fame.
Jericho, 1,000% is going in the WWE Hall of Fame. I just think that they're going to wait until he retires and they make sure that he's not going to do another run in the WWE before they would do that. I don't think they would announce him for next year or something, knowing that there's a possibility they could maybe take him back from AEW. I don't think it'll happen, but they might think that.
Excuse me. King CTM, I actually don't mind Kross promos. Definitely not as cool as NXT promos, but I don't hate them. I'm sure he was handed a script probably 10 minutes before he did it. And it was just about, hey, remember your lines and get your basic beats here. Whereas I'm sure in NXT, that stuff's worked on throughout the week, and then they shoot it. And then they have the time, I would imagine, to edit it, put together. for maximum efficiency. And I just don't think that's just not the case on Raw. And that's, even trained actors down to do cold reads. It's not an easy thing for like auditions.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of reps. It takes a lot of practice.
I'd be one of them Brando type guys who asked for a cue cards. That guy won Oscars with cue cards.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was just like made for winning Oscars. Gregory says, do you see Charlotte leaving WWE for AEW when her contract is up?
I'd be pretty surprised.
I'd be surprised, but not as surprised as if Becky or Sasha Banks left. I'd be less surprised if Charlotte or Bayley left.
Woody says, this was a great episode for Raw standards. Bobby looked dominant, defeat, but for the love of God, give Bobby Brock. Agreed.
I agree with that. I think that'd be wonderful.
Give Lashley that match.
That'd be great. Let's see here. Wow, this is a stretch. Dog Authority Figure says, was that an intentional nod to Sean O'Haire in Karrion Kross's promo or coincidence? I will 100,000% guarantee it was a coincidence.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people make that
oh, really? I hadn't seen that. Mm-hmm. That's funny.
Mm-hmm. Fear and Loathing says, Xavier Woods, what's his ceiling? Do you think Vince will put him over for King of the Ring, maybe lose in the finals this year and win it next year? Before his career is over, Xavier Woods needs to be King of the Ring.
Yep.
That seemingly is the one thing he wants to be more than anything else, in terms of winning titles, so on and so forth. He talks about it all the time. I think probably a good portion of the fan base knows that's something that he wants. And to have him win the tournament, I think would be awesome. They have been throughout the year showcasing him more in singles matches.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's part of a story that leads to him getting in the King of the Ring tournament and ultimately whether he wins it this year, next year, 2 years down the line, there's got to be a payoff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a satisfying one would have to be him winning the tournament. And then hopefully from there, he can, go on after other singles pursuits titles, whether it's IC, US title, main event, WWE Universal title. It'd be cool if by the time the New Day all retired from in-ring competition, they were all champions,
Yeah, I agree.
That'd be awesome.
I agree.
And I think in terms of promo ability, in-ring ability, charisma, Xavier Woods has it all to be, a champion.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Wayne asks, you always remember where you were during big moments in history. I was at Circle K parking lot for 20 minutes parked watching Big E make history. Yeah, I'm trying to think of any memorable moments that I was like someplace weird.
I remember because I was a huge Mark McGuire fan.
Oh, yeah.
And when he hit his record-breaking home run, I remember you texted me. Or actually, I think it was Jeff. You texted
we had
Jeff
text back then?
Or paged him or something. You somehow got a hold of Jeff. Yeah, because I didn't have a cell phone until several years later. So it must have been a page or something. And I think it just said 62, 62, 62, 62. And we were in photography class.
That is hilarious that we paged you 62, 62, 62.
I think that's what it was.
Oh,
you taped
that's
it for me.
Great. Sent it to you. What's it? Yeah, I remember that Mr. P. Lord said, sent a telegraph. I telefaxed.
Morse code.
Oh, man. J-Ship asks, name an underutilized Raw roster member you'd like to see more of and someone prominent on the roster you could do with seeing less of. 62 stop, 62 stop, 62 stop. Oh, that's great. Somebody on the roster I could Reggie, I can do a thing less Reggie.
I mean, if both the first two names that pop in my head are actually really involved. It's Mustafa Ali and it's Xavier Woods. They're both now pretty involved in the storylines on Raw.
Oh, people I could see more of, definitely Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin.
Yes, that's a great answer. Thank you.
Let's see here. Anthony R. With NFL starting their Monday Night Football and having a really exciting game last night, does WWE need to keep doing hotshot shows to keep up? What do you think their storytelling and good build could be good enough to have a show? I mean, it's a catch-22 type situation where it's like they want to compete, but in order to really get your ratings up on a regular basis, you have to build you have to sacrifice in the short term to win out in the long term, but they don't want to sacrifice in the short term to do that. So I don't know. I mean, the problem with that is if you keep hot-shotting, it's going to be WCW 2000. That was like the definition of just every week. It was just some more bullshit.
You know, the ratings numbers that we got earlier was at 1.6 million or something like that, which is down from the last few weeks, but also in light of the fact that it was the debut of Monday Night Football. I mean, it was a drop of 200,000. It's not terrible.
Brandon, I don't know what their expectations would be. Brandon Thurston says the fewest since July 12th. So I think that there have been some Thunderdome shows that did better than that number, if I'm not mistaken.
So he just said here, this is for Brandon Thurston, says using the median of the last 4 weeks as comparison against the first week of the NFL, Raw fell harder than last year in total viewership and harder in the 18 to 49 than any year since 2015.
That's surprising, just given the the buzz around Raw last night with the Big E stuff.
Ooh, and Raw's demo number was 0.43.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
that's so. Okay.
Oh wow,
interesting.
King CDM, this is great. Says in WWE 2K20, I put Adam Cole on Raw for a year to see how he would do. He won the WWE title twice for a total of 220 days, defeating Lashley to win it and eliminating Drew and Lashley to retain an Elimination Chamber and capping it off with a Mania win and retaining against John Cena. Maybe not exactly, but do you think he would have done better or worse in real life? Worse.
For a year?
Worse.
That's
a killer year.
That's like an all-time great first year.
Mm-hmm.
The Joe Hansen says, is that 0.43 good or bad? I don't know what they usually get. Last week it was a 0.53.
Yeah. Anyways, Twitch
0.43 is usually about what a Dynamite gets when they have about 900,000 a million viewers.
Correct. Twitch chat, stick around. We'll answer some more of your questions and we'll raid somebody. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time. Join us tonight for NXT. We'll be on the Twitch. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.